broadcasting live from Ado, Ekiti. Here are the top stories. Labour Party sets date for presidential primaries, fixes election timetable. Congo president re-elected for fifth term. Brazil begins implementation of minors restriction on social media. Now the news in detail. The Labour Party has set May 23 for its presidential primaries in its approved timetable ahead of the 2027 general elections. The information was contained in a communique issued after a meeting of its National Executive Council held and observed by officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission in Abuja. The communique stated that the party will submit its membership register to INEC on April 15, while governorship, Senate, House of Representatives, and House of Assembly primaries will be held on Friday, May 15. The National Executive Council equally reviewed recent developments within the party, including the scheduling of congresses as well as the recent invasion of the party secretariat by hoodlums. In another development, the Nigerian Army's troops of Operation Hardin Kai have killed no fewer than 61 terrorists suspected to be members of the Islamic State of West Africa province in Borno State. According to a report by security analyst Zazagola Makama, the operation, in collaboration with the Nigerian Air Force, was carried out when the ISWAP assailants attempted to infiltrate a community in Abadam local government area of the state earlier today. Makama said the terrorists were advancing on foot and deploying armed drones in a desperate bid to breach the defense of troops when they were resisted by the troops. The integration of air and ground maneuver, however, ensured that the terrorists were fixed, targeted, and neutralized in large numbers. Beyond Nigeria, President of the Republic of Congo, Denis Sassou Nguesso, has been re-elected for a fifth consecutive term, extending his nearly 42-year rule over the Central African country. Interior Minister Raymond Zephyrin Mobolu announced in a statement that Sassou Nguesso won 94.82% of the vote, winning over 6 other candidates who challenged him for the job. The election is the latest in a trend of octogenarian African leaders clinging to power, with the Congo leader being the third longest-serving African president, following closely behind Cameroon's Paul Biya and Equatorial Guinea's Teodoro Mbasogo. Still in Africa, a Chinese man, Zhang Kekun, and his Kenyan associates have been charged with illegally dealing in wildlife species after they were caught trying to smuggle more than 2,000 live queen garden ants out of Kenya. A court sitting in Nairobi heard that Zhang bought the ants from Kenyan Charles Nwagi at 10,000 Kenyan shillings for every 100 of them. The Chinese was arrested at the international airport in Nairobi last week, after authorities discovered the large consignment of ants in his luggage stashed in a test tube. This comes as Kenyan authorities have issued warnings about a growing demand for garden ants in Europe and Asia, where collectors keep them as pets. Away from that, United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio has denied a report claiming that U.S. officials egged Cuba to oust its president, Miguel Diaz-Canel. In a post on X, Rubio said that the article carrying the report was fake and was coming among media reports that relied on liars as sources. Rubio did not say if he was denying the whole article or particular parts of it. The disputed newspaper said officials under U.S. President Donald Trump have asked Cuba to remove its president, but did not push for a complete toppling of the communist government. Rubio had also told newsmen that Cuba needed to take more dramatic action to allow overseas Cubans to invest and own businesses on the island. You are still listening to Beyond Nigeria on Midas Radio 90.5 FM Ado Ekiti.
Remember to protect the land of honor and integrity. Please visit www.midasradio905.fm for more information, and you can follow us across our social media platforms at Midas Radio 905 for regular updates. You can also download our app on Apple or Play Store for convenient access and your listening pleasure. Midas Radio cares about you, and we are committed to bringing you stories that matter.
Thanks for staying with us. Moving on to the rest of the news. Brazil has begun implementing new measures to restrict minors' access to social media and prevent them from viewing violent or illegal content. The law regulating children's use of social media was approved last year after a scandal involving an alleged sexual exploitation of minors on Instagram, and will come into effect this week. Director of the National Data Protection Authority, Lagimiola, said the law had only banned self-declaration as an age verification mechanism, adding that the method had proven ineffective. Miola said with the new measures, adolescents up to 16 years of age must now have their accounts linked to those of a legal guardian. The law also requires digital platforms to demand reliable age verification to prevent minors under the age of 18 from accessing prohibited or inappropriate content such as pornography or violent material. Argentina has formally withdrawn from the World Health Organization, following in the path of the United States, which took the same step earlier this year. In a post on X, Foreign Minister Pablo Quino said Argentina will continue to promote international cooperation in health through bilateral agreements and regional forums, which fully preserve its sovereignty and its capacity to make decisions regarding health policies. Recall that the Argentinian government had announced an intention to leave the United Nations health body a year ago, criticizing the World Health Organization's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. Last year, Argentina had declared that the WHO's recommendations are ineffective because they are not based on science but on political interests. In the Middle East, Iranian authorities have executed a man convicted of spying for Israel in the first such execution announced since the war with Israel and the United States broke out. According to Iran's judiciary, the Zionist regime spy identified as Kurush Kivani had been providing images and information about the country's sensitive locations to Mossad officers and was killed this morning. Kivani was arrested during Iran's 12-day war with Israel in June last year after details of its meeting with agents from Israel's Mossad spy agency were revealed. In the meantime, Thailand's Constitutional Court has accepted for consideration a petition challenging the legality of election ballots used in the country's polls last month. In a statement, the court said the Election Commission has been given 15 days to provide clarification. The Constitutional Court did not, however, any other orders, meaning that the planned election by the new parliament on the Prime Minister would go ahead. The Office of the Ombudsman, which filed the petition, had alleged that the barcodes and QR codes on the ballots could potentially be used to identify which candidate and party a voter had chosen, undermining the secrecy of the ballots. Finally, on sports, the Senegalese Football Federation says it has initiated an appeal against the decision of the Confederation of African Football, which stripped the country of the 2025 AFCON title and named Morocco champions. In a statement, the Senegalese FA denounced what it described as the unfair, unprecedented, and unacceptable decision of the appeals board, which discredits African football. The federation added that it will initiate an appeal as soon as possible before the Court of Arbitration for Sporting Lucerne to defend the rights and the interests of Senegalese football. That's beyond Nigeria this afternoon, but before we go, here is a recap of the major stories. We told you that the Labour Party has set May 23 for its presidential primaries in its approved timetable ahead of the 2027 general elections. We informed you that President of the Republic of Congo, Denis Sassou Nguesso, has been re-elected for a fifth consecutive term. Finally, came a report that Brazil has begun implementing new measures to restrict minors' access to social media and prevent them from viewing violent or illegal content. That's Beyond Nigeria, as edited by Ayotunde Adebiyi. I am Esther.